to say it. Somebody should. Let's talk about two time. Let's talk about bum wine, yeah. You're asking the questions that nobody could. Like where the bone thugs and are they in harmony? Help for Snowman.
Well, hey there, listenerinos. Welcome to another one of these where we talk about this. Now that this is a book podcast, and but we're keeping going full steam on the book Origins by me, Peter Dirk. This is the collected blogs that I wrote on a website called myspace.com. If there for some reason is like a Zoomer listening to this, you know, MySpace was like Facebook, but probably better. And I say that knowing full well that most people will hear that and be like, well, you're just nostalgic for it. But I wouldn't say that because I don't feel nostalgia for MySpace. What I feel nostalgic for is the way MySpace worked. Because basically, number one, it was like timeline based. So you could see kind of the posts other people did and stuff. But actually, the way you navigated MySpace was more page based. So I would have friends and I would go look at their page and be like, is there anything new on here and whatever? And people would post occasional pictures, occasional blogs, things like that. But the other thing is, like, I think it reminded me of old weird internet where it was like, yeah, let's have a glittery gif of a, unicorn, or like a dripping slime or dripping blood gif or something like that. It's I don't know. It felt more like that because your page was very individual and it wasn't the content on the page that made it. Well, that wasn't the only thing that made it unique. It was also the page itself. And anyway, early social media probably would have turned into something evil if it hadn't just been destroyed one way or another. I think somebody bought it or something, like Yahoo bought it or something like that, if my memory serves. That's how things happen today. The world we live in today, you make something good and then someone else buys it. And then they either completely destroy it or they just kind of slowly make it shittier. I'm sure a lot of people are screaming Twitter right now. I'm not sure if that's exactly the same. I feel like Twitter was purchased by Elon Musk and then I don't know if it was made shittier per se, or if it was more just like shittier people stayed and less shitty people were like, yeah, I'm going to pass. That's kind of my theory. But anyway, it was an early place for a young man who wanted to do a blog. You know, it's something that's weird. I was just reading something about this, but like, why does Gen Z have like terrible computer skills? What are you guys doing? If there is a Gen Z person, I'd like some feedback on like why you guys are bad at computer. Like, it's you kind of know how computers work. You can work a smartphone, but it feels like, if I gave you a direction of like, send me a PDF, upload an attachment, send me a PDF and whatever. And if something went wrong in that process, you would just be like, I don't fucking know. You know what I mean? Is it because when I was a kid, computers worked, but not great. There are things about computers that I feel like Gen Z would be shocked to find out. Like, just for example, you would start the computer and it was like you start it up and then you don't touch anything for like 5 minutes. You know what I mean? I think a lot of people would start up their computer, they'd hit the button and fire it up and then go like make a cup of coffee or something and come back to it because it's like, By the time that's done, you can come back to it and it's ready to go. But it wasn't like instantly ready. You know what I mean? And it's like if you tried to open a program too quickly, God help you. Like it would just fuck up the whole thing and you'd have to just restart the whole goddamn thing. Just lots of little shit like that, you know, or like if you've never done a command prompt, if you've never been in like an MS-DOS or like whatever, just try that sometime and like understand that's what we had to do to play Doom. We had to know how to be like C:/ whatever, you know, and Doom, you know, what was the CD, and then you change the drive, you put in the drive name, and then setup.exe or whatever, or dir so you could see the things. It's like you just had to know a lot. My first library job, the catalog was like that. It was like .l was how you made a new library card. You had to type in .l and that would take you to that menu. There was no mouse capability in the catalog. It was all keyboard. It was crazy. And like the things, you know, I'm sure to someone .l made sense because it was .library card or something. But you know, all the commands. When I started working there, I was just like, okay, this is much more complicated than I thought it would be. It did make me think like, this is why, you know, McDonald's is a success and the library has a harder time. I mean, this isn't why, but it's an aspect of it, which is like, when I worked at McDonald's, it was like the things were all buttons on the machine and like pictures of the things. And it was a touch screen, the register. And I'm like, yeah, the library is like so far behind. It was like just out of all the screens are green for whatever reason that happened. Anyway, I'm just curious about that. I'm curious about it as a phenomenon, but also just about why that is. Because I guess we were all told like, I guess I'm elder millennial, right on the edge of Gen X. And so Gen Z is like younger than me. So of course I have a natural disdain for you all. I mean, that's the way of things, right? But like, we were all told like you guys are going to be digital natives and you'd grow up with this stuff. And it's like, these kids are going to have iPads, you know, when they're 4 years old. And I think a lot of you did. But then like, I guess we thought that would translate into being good with technology, but I don't know that it has. You know what I mean? It's weird. What are you guys going to do when we're all dead? When all of us millennials are like, yeah, I'm peaced out. Is it going to reverse? Is it going to be like grandpas helping their, you know, children, their adult children with internet stuff? Is that our curse as millennials? We have to help our parents. We have to help our boomer parents with it and then turn around and help our Gen Z children with it because all y'all are terrible. Are we like the one? Did you just have to be part of the one generation that has lived both a pre and post internet life? Like, you know what I mean? We had significant portion of our life before the smartphone, before internet was really a thing. And then it switched sometime when we were like in, I don't know, high school or something. Is that the secret? I hope that's not what's about to happen. I would hate to think that I'll be like 60 years old helping a, you know, I don't know, 25-year-old with, well, I guess at that time they'd be like in their 40s. And they're like, I don't know how to install a program. And I'm like, oh, Christ. Anyway, let's get back to doing some of the entries in this book, talking about them and what inspired them. This is called People Make It Hard When You Have Diarrhea. Hey, you don't look so good. Yeah, I'm a little sick. Oh yeah? A little bit of that cold going around? Yeah, something like that. My wife just had that. Are you getting the stuffy nose? Man, she had it something terrible. No, just stomach stuff, I guess. Oh man, that's the worst. You feel nauseous or hungry or what? Look, it's diarrhea, okay? Whoa, way too much information. No, you know what? No, you couldn't let it go. Too much information would be telling you that I thought I was farting this morning and then filled my pajama pants with hot shit. Not just liquid, pieces. I walked straight into the shower with my pajama pants on. I don't know if this is I don't know what this was inspired by. I mean, other than having diarrhea, probably. Or people, asking you questions at work when you're sick. I'm gonna do a brief post 2020 rant. It is 2026. I looked at the calendar because I guess I wasn't sure that it was 2026. It is 2026. And while I know all of us are very excited to get away from COVID times and like lockdowns and all that stuff, I really wish we could like take away some level of something from COVID. Mostly like, hey, when you're fucking sick, call in sick to work and don't come in. And if you're a boss at a place and someone's calling in sick, just make that easy for them to do. You know what I mean? There's no reason to belabor that or make someone like justify that they're sick or whatever. I say just let them do it, man. Who fucking cares? We've had at my work, I've been wearing a mask for like the last 3 or 4 weeks because someone in my office is incredibly sick and has been talking about how sick they are. And they don't even actually know what they have. And it's just like, I mean, it is a little annoying that I'm overhearing that conversation because I'm like, I just don't need to be part of that conversation. But also, what are you doing here? You know what I mean? Why are you here? What possessed you? What made you decide like, you know what? I should come into work. That would probably be like a good decision for me to make. I don't think it would. I don't think it was. I don't think it has been. So like maybe, I don't know, maybe just stay home. You know what I mean? When you're sick, stay home. And by the way, the thing that makes me the fucking craziest is people being like, I'm not contagious anymore. People say that all the time, like that's a real thing. If I can hear you from across the room coughing and sneezing and blowing your nose and telling everyone I'm sick, you are definitely still contagious. Okay? It's like I don't understand how that urban legend got started of like, or that wives' tale or like whatever you want to call it, that there's like a magical period where it's like, well, I still feel like shit. I'm still exhibiting all the symptoms of sickness, but I'm not actually sick. I'm not contagious. That's definitely not how that works. Okay, let's move on. This is called Incident Report to be filled out by movie police captains. Date, time, number of police cruisers destroyed, body bags requisitioned, windows smashed by having bodies thrown through them, exact words screamed at the sky in anger, percent of arresting officer's shirt remaining intact, shots fired times 1,000, reprimand given, select one. Give me your badge. I'll have your shield for that one. Turn in your badge and gun. You're a disgrace to the badge. Assignment of new partner who is a monkey. Circle 1. Yes, no. I do think it's very funny. I always thought somehow in my brain there's a police captain in the movie Last Action Hero, which is kind of a parody of action movies in a lot of ways, who's like this angry police captain who's like screaming all the time. And for some reason, I thought that was in like a real, like non-parody type movie. And then I found out it was in Last Action Hero. And I was like, oh, that makes a little more sense that this is crazy over the top police captain was in Last Action Hero. What is it about that we love, though? Like, why do we want Riggs to get yelled at by his boss? It's like he doesn't care. He's like over the top and he knows it and he's just like, fuck it. You know what I mean? That's a hard thing today. I feel like doing that kind of cop movie is hard today because like I think now we have a tendency to view the cops a very different way, right? Like it's, maybe in the late 80s and early 90s, we were a little more willing to like, a cop goes in the interrogation room and beats somebody up and you're like, yeah, get him. You know what I mean? Although, okay, maybe it's not so much about the time too as it is about like, I feel like we interact with fiction differently these days. This is a very philosophical episode for starting off with diarrhea. Although I guess that could be said about any episode of this program. I feel like, okay, when you're watching it in the past, it's like you'd be watching a cop interrogating a suspect in a way that is completely illegal and whatever. But you're watching a movie and you know that this guy who's being interrogated is like, a terrorist or whatever. You know what I mean? Like, he's a bad guy. He's trying to kill people. He is Nicolas Cage, later to become John Travolta in Face Off, not to be confused with John Travolta, later to become Nicolas Cage in Face Off, right? The bad one, is what I'm saying. So, like, we know that. And so, like, but now it's like, it feels more complicated because it's like, well, I know that, but there's no way for that cop to know that. So, et cetera, et cetera. And it's like, I don't know, maybe there's like maybe I feel there's something in the air about like when we're watching something or reading something or what have you, that there's like, it has like an obligation to be real in a way that it's not real. Do you know what I mean? Or like, I don't know, maybe there's also some crazy retro thinking of like, well, this is going to encourage kids to become cops and then beat people up or something, which I'm like, I don't really think that's how it works. You know what I mean? But I was just like reading something today that I was reading an author's newsletter and he was talking about how there's a new Harry Potter show coming out, which is like going to be a series and it hews more closely to the books and so on. And of course, this author was talking about how like the Harry Potter books were a phenomenon and it got a ton of people to read. And that's a very good thing. And also this author was like, I've taught classes and I've used Harry Potter as an example because it does things, it does certain things well. It's like it has a sort of a reader surrogate character in Harry Potter because he doesn't know anything about magic, so then they have to explain it to him, but really it's explaining it to the reader, right? Or like just other little tricks that Harry Potter does. But then, there's all the the stuff J.K. Rowling talks about, which isn't great. And I don't really follow her closely, so I can't say a lot about exactly what she says, but I gather it's like anti-trans stuff. I feel like that's her primary message or concern, I guess, if we want to call it that, if that's fair. So then this author was saying like, you probably shouldn't, he was saying like, you probably shouldn't watch the new Harry Potter series because like J.K. Rowling profits from that. And like, as long as Harry Potter continues to be profitable, she'll keep being successful and having money and whatever. And like, he was saying, people say trust the art, not the artist. And he's like, I don't know if that works for me. And I was a little like, I feel differently about that. I mean, I guess you probably all know that, having listened to this or whatever. I guess I just feel like there's just very little in the world that gives people any sort of joy. And while I understand why people hate J.K. Rowling, and I'm not like defending J.K. Rowling or saying she's a good person. And at the same time, though, I'm like, I don't know, man, if people like Harry Potter, they should probably just continue to like it. I mean, I just don't think there's like as much stuff that makes people happy in the world. And frankly, I think it's extra tough with Harry Potter because it was books. And it was one of the last, if not the last, major event type of book of its type. You know what I mean? Like, I think Twilight might be in there, but Twilight's definitely not as powerful as Harry Potter and not as beloved. And like Da Vinci Code's kind of somewhere in there. But, the Da Vinci Code is like, well, they made a couple movies that somebody watched, I guess. But there's an Xbox game of the Da Vinci Code as well, which I find shocking. And I really want to read the book and then play the game. Because I'm like, well, how does this work? If you read the book, does it make the game easy? Does the game follow the plot of the book? I mean, there have been several other books turned into video games that make no goddamn sense. I mean, like Fight Club was made into a video game, and it's just like a two-person fighting game, like Mortal Kombat or something. And it's like the cast of characters from the Fight Club movie, which is really weird. And it's like a very bizarre interpretation of the movie or the book Fight Club. You know what I mean? And I'm like, but so like if you read the book and then play the video game, it doesn't help you out. You know what I mean? It's not like, well, I know what happens next in this plot, so I'll go towards whatever makes that happen. And I wonder, because I'm like, well, Da Vinci Code must be kind of like an adventure game, right? Like you got to find a thing or like decodes or something. I have no fucking idea. I do really want to play this game. The hurdle is that first I would have to read the book in order to know, what goes on. And I just can't seem to find the time and definitely don't have the desire to read the book. Anyway, I don't know. I feel like I understood what this guy was saying in his newsletter, and I don't totally disagree with it and so on. And it's like making good choices as a consumer is important. Maybe. I don't know. It's like I'm so cynical that sometimes I don't think it matters because I'm like, well, it doesn't really matter what I do. You know what I mean? And like, it feels grandiose of me to think that my choices really matter. But who the fuck knows? I mean, I can't even remember. Discovery Plus or something is what the new Harry Potter show is on. And I'm like, well, I mean, I'm not getting Discovery Plus, whatever the hell that is, in order to watch Harry Potter. So it's kind of a non-issue for me. And I think that's the bigger thing for me is I'm like, I think what it comes down to for me is that I'm like, Harry Potter's never something that I loved. Like, I wish it had existed when I was the right age for it. And I wish there had been Harry Potter theme parks and stuff. Like, that would be so fun. And I think that series of books would be fun and, would have been a very warm childhood memory for me. But I was too old for it. I think like they were really catching on when I was like in my early 20s. Or like late teens, early 20s probably. So it's like, yeah, I'm not really going to read that because when you're in your late teens and early 20s, that's probably the worst time to be like, I could enjoy a thing that's meant for kids. You're like, I don't want to do that because you're just getting into adulthood. So you can finally free yourselves from the shackles of childhood, which you'll do for like 10 years and then spend the rest of your life wishing that you could have the shackles of childhood back. You know what I mean? The simplicity of being a child. But so I think that's how I feel about it though, is I'm like, I just don't feel invested enough in it that I can tell other people what to do about it. Do you know what I mean? Like, I just don't feel like I'm the right person to tell everyone else to go towards Harry Potter or to run away from Harry Potter or like how they should feel about it. I mean, I don't know. I'm not like free of enjoying people who have done shitty things or said shitty things or whatever. And I guess, yeah, I would be a hypocrite if I had told people what to do on that. But also, I guess, to me, it just feels like that's a discussion that should probably happen within the community of people who have enjoyed Harry Potter. Do you know what I mean? And it's not really for me. And I guess I felt like this writer was, a little bit kind of coming outside the community. I think he's like my same age. And just, I don't know. That's how I felt. That's how I feel about a thing. Let's move on to Pete. Given the choice between writing an 800-page biography of Charles Darwin or killing himself, makes an effort. Darwin was born at a time and place that was older than our times and places. He grew up in Galapagos, where he learned to ride turtles around. And you thought the bus was slow. Jesus Christ. How an animal that slow has any right to exist is beyond me. Darwin's father was a strict man. He was especially strict about Darwin being clean, which he enforced by hot tubbing with his son. Darwin continued this practice long after his father's death, only putting a stop to it when the corpse reanimated and attacked him. More on that later. Darwin was a fucking nerd, man. He wasn't like other kids who wanted to run and play and beat up nerds. Instead, he was more like the nerds that those kids beat up, often severely. So would it be fair to call him a nerd? It would be fun to call him a nerd. Darwin, after a severe beating that left him decapitated, made a vow that he would invent science and ruin school forever. A lot of people don't know that before Darwin, the school day was half farming and half smashing the inventions and projects of the nerds and beating up the nerds. There was one day a month that was more academic, which was the day when the class all sat around a boardroom and pitched different jokes that could be used to humiliate the nerd kids. Darwin went on to have a beard and a bald head, which is really fucking stupid. It wouldn't be until Shel Silverstein that someone would rock that shit again. Yeah. You know what? This feels, I see myself in this. This sounds like something that I wrote. More on that later. More on his father's reanimated corpse that got reanimated by a hot tub somehow. After a severe beating that left him decapitated. There's a lot going on in here. I feel like, an 800-page biography. The joke today would be probably that I would just not, it would be one paragraph of apology for not making more of an effort to write the Darwin book, because I'm like, I'm 50-50, 6 of one, half dozen the other as it is. So it's like, well, yeah, in these United States, it's a lot harder to write an 800-page book than it is to get a pistol. Topical. The next one is called Things That Don't Seem to Impress Girls. Masterful DVD workout completion. Air punching towards her face and getting really, really close to hitting her in time with a good Foreigner song. Extensive knowledge of films featuring scenes where adults kill young children. Yeah, so I guess, air punching towards someone's face. So the things you would do to antagonize your younger brother, not impressive to girls that you're, trying to romanticize. That makes sense. Hey, I buy it. I buy it from myself. Things that made me believe that the apocalypse was happening yesterday. A large snake crossing my path. Black clouds descending from the sky. A horse walking alone along a busy highway. Traffic snarls. Things that reassured me that the apocalypse probably wasn't happening and everything was proceeding as normal. Bush's glycerine on the radio. The fact that I spent the first half of the day trying on women's sunglasses. Zero nudity. I have a vague memory of, there was a horse walking along the highway this one time when I was like it's not like an interstate, but like a very busy highway. And I feel like my memory is that the horse was alone, but that can't possibly be true, right? Like, why would there just be a horse? Anyway. And that just seemed very apocalyptic vision. I'm guessing that the traffic snarls may have also been related to the horse walking along the highway. Perhaps, I don't want to do yet another podcast that confuses correlation with cause, but I don't know, it seems entirely possible. How about that? Video games characters are real bad with money. Jim Toadstool, Mushroom Kingdom. I've been hiding my money in big, huge blocks with question marks on the side, 1 cent at a time. I'm not sure what happened to my original projections, but I'm taking pretty big hits right now. Manufacturing one question mark block costs over $1,000, but what I'm paying for is the security. I figure that anyone who sees a block with a question mark on it is going to leave it alone because it could be anything in there. Alligator, poison gas, all of my money, anything. Steve Woodmark, Hyrule Forest. My money's been squirreled away in clay jars and bushes all over town. I even have a couple houses in the forest that are just wall-to-wall jars. Things were good, but someone started looking in the jars, and not only are they taking my money, but they're also destroying the jars. In hindsight, some sort of container that wasn't just open on the top and left unguarded in the woods might have worked better. And Eggman Barrington, Sonic the Hedgehog Aquatic Zone. Step 1 was converting all my cash into gold rings. Step 2 was leaving them in one long linear trail all over the aquatic zone. It's almost impossible not to collect all of them, even if you're running at very high speed. I'm pretty sure I'm 1 step away from riches. I feel like that Zelda thing, there must be like a million memes and so on about that. Very early on, it's probably not in here because I don't think I had the ability to put images in these in the past. Very early on, I did a comic strip, and it was of a Link from Zelda, and it was like he had all this stuff, and it was in the basement, and the princess is like, "Are you going to get rid of this shit already?" And it's like, the raft that you get in the first game, and the boomerang, and things that a princess rescuer who's not actively rescuing a princess has zero use for. So he puts it out all on the curb, and then it's like cut to Zelda 2, The Adventure of Link, and it's like, oh, god damn it. Because, of course, as soon as you throw something out, that's when you're like, I needed that. Although I don't think that's really true. I've thrown out lots of things and then not needed them ever. But that's probably less about me throwing out things that I shouldn't have and more about me having lots of things I don't actually need. And so therefore, when you throw some things out, it's like, yeah, I mean, I never needed that in the first place, so getting rid of it's not really a problem. The next one's called Why Do They Write Restaurant Menus Like That? Grilled cheese. Made from thick sliced slabs of the best cheese ever made from a cow that ate only hand-grown grass, it is so good that you would kill any man just to watch a second man take one bite. $8.99. Mashed potatoes. We take mashing to a whole new level. Our potatoes, grown in soil from a graveyard for virginal saints, are hand-mashed by a boy who is believed to be the reincarnation of Albert Einstein. $6.99. Onion rings. There's only one hyphenated word with an X in it that can describe these. Extreme. We stack over a dozen onion rings dipped in batter so good you'd do shooters of it at your wedding reception with all your best guy pals. Add a side of guacamole for nearly the price of the entire thing. $9.99. Club sandwich. If this sandwich were a real club, it would be the best club you'd ever been to, with naked chicks dancing around and everyone's all drunk and most of the action is centered around you and everyone asks how you're doing and you say, not so great, and everyone rubs your back and buys you shots and fights over who gets to go home with you. $11.99. Fudge volcano. A dessert so chocolatey it's wrong. It's more chocolatey than a chocolate bar dipped in chocolate and then a taste neutral layer than another chocolate dip. It's more chocolate than Michael Clark Duncan trapped in a collapsing Hershey's syrup factory. Seriously, you should not eat this. There is no reason for it to exist. $6.99. I just went to, a couple weeks ago, I went to a restaurant and they had their about us. You know how restaurants do that? They put an about us page together. And theirs was crazy because it was basically the owner of the restaurant, some lady, spewing out about how her personal life has been and her like second divorce and how, that like almost bankrupted her. And then she opened a restaurant and there was like a flood or something. I mean, it was fucked up. But like the level of at what, and it was like a lot of that language that I find very red flag for me, which is like, I was in a toxic relationship and then this happened and then this happened and this happened and this happened. And you're like, hey, believe me, I'm me. I completely understand a series of bad things happening to someone who completely doesn't deserve it. At the same time, though, sometimes I'm just like, I don't know, man. I don't know if I would put all that in my about us if I ran a restaurant. Although, to be fair, I was like, honestly, this is a lot more compelling than a typical about us for a restaurant. Because usually it's like, oh, me and, my wife had a dream of running our own restaurant someday. And then we made this restaurant and we ran it and it's today. And so someday is today. And look at us. Here we are. You know what I mean? It's like, okay, we take the finest ingredients, handpicked by someone, because everything is handpicked by somebody. At some stage, any ingredient is probably handpicked, right? Unless it's like, I don't know. At some point, someone touches everything. Handpicked off of a truck in a pallet, sealed so you can't actually see it, all of our ingredients. So I guess on that level, I was like, maybe this is, I know this isn't the case, but I'm like, I want to live in a world where somebody was like, yeah, I'm going to have our about us for our restaurant be insane. You know what I mean? But it clearly wasn't that, because if you were going to do that, right, you would take it really, really far by the end, and it would just, it would end with like, after the apocalypse, and, once I had driven the school bus full of gasoline across the open desert and denied the marauders from getting it, I opened a restaurant. You know what I mean? Let's see. Sir Mix-a-Lot, Knight of the Table. King Arthur, do you really think this is going to work? Merlin, nothing is certain, nothing is certain. A purple time portal opens and a large black man falls through and onto the floor. Sir Mix-a-Lot, what the fuck? King Arthur, Sir Mix-a-Lot, I am Arthur. I am a great knight of my time, and just as you are in yours. We are in desperate need of your services. Please, sir, help defend our castle. Sir Mix-a-Lot, what the fuck? I just got dropped 20 feet onto a stone-ass floor, and now you want me to defend a goddamn castle? King Arthur, indeed. Sir Mix-a-Lot, I don't know about that shit. Merlin, but you were the only person of knighthood in your era. The only one who goes by Sir. Sir Mix-a-Lot, bitch, I just made that shit up. I should have named myself Chocolate Swirl. I'd be standing in an ice cream place right now. King Arthur, oh, we're doomed. Sir Mix-a-Lot, fucking A. I don't know if Sir Mix-a-Lot swore a lot. It's stone-ass floor. What? Yeah. Okay, there you go. It's funny to like disassemble my own things, because like they had somehow had the ability to find and identify someone who went by Sir, who was ostensibly then some kind of knight or whatever, but not the ability to discern, no, that's not what's going on here. Do you know what I mean? Like that really doesn't make any sense, me. Songs that I'm betting were not being referenced in the song Killing Me Softly with his song. Banana Phone by Raffi. Power Rangers theme song. Anything from Rush's vast and varied catalog. The Jurassic Park theme song. It's probably true. Unless the me being referenced is like passion for yet another Jurassic Park release, which has been killing me softly over many years. It's funny, like they released, Jurassic Park 1, amazing. Jurassic Park 2, fine. Jurassic Park 3, total shit. Killed the franchise for many years. I think then we skip to like the new Chris Pratt Jurassic Parks, which was I I thought it wasn't good, but it was like interesting to me that like the new Jurassic Parks, the two that I saw, had the two funniest plots in my opinion. They were like so out of the 80s. One is like we could train velociraptors. The military is going to want these velociraptors. And I'm like, for what? You know what I mean? It's like, do you really think that's like, they're like, okay, here's what we'll do. We'll drop a bunch of velociraptors in Afghanistan. It's like, that doesn't seem like a great idea. Then what do you do? After you drop them in, what do you do? It makes no sense. And then the other plot, I think, was like rich assholes were like auctioning and buying dinosaurs at auction, which is kind of great. Like that to me felt very 1980s because it's just like, what are they going to do with a dinosaur? You know what I mean? Like you buy a dinosaur, you're a rich guy, and I get it. Okay, what are you going to do with a mansion, you know, that has 8 pools in it and stuff like that? And I'm like, yeah, okay, that's fair. But like it just sits there. You know what I mean? And I guess your value degrades or something, but like a dinosaur? Like you can't just leave it somewhere. And like what do you, even when you're engaging with the dinosaur, what are you doing? Like watching it walk around? Which would be amazing, but you don't want to own it. It's a little bit like a boat. You know, you want to be on a boat once in a while, but you really just want your friend to own the boat. Your most responsible friend, which is the irony, because your most responsible friend is not going to buy a fucking boat. But at the same time, you don't want your like biggest jack-off friend to have the boat because you're like, yeah, so we took it out to the middle of the lake and the thing goddamn died. And we were stuck out there for like 5 hours, just roasting. It's yeah. And that's how a dinosaur is. Like you want your most responsible friend to own the dinosaur. But obviously your most responsible friend is not going to own a dinosaur. Because why would they? Next we've got at the meeting where they invented grocery stores. Okay, great. So we've got food, fresh produce, a deli, and even a few other extras like cosmetics and light office supplies. I think we've got this whole grocery store thing just about figured out. I have something I think we should have. I have something. I think we should have pantyhose. Pantyhose? Yeah, maybe with the makeup, because they're for girls. I understand what you're saying, I think, but at the same time, I think we all decided to stick to day-to-day needs type stuff. Hey man, pantyhose or I walk. All right, fine. So we have food and pantyhose. Anything else? Yeah, an entire aisle of greeting cards with envelopes. That seems like a bit much. That's like as much space as we give to breakfast cereal. I know. Everyone will mix up which envelopes go with which cards. It'll be great. Plus, we need a large selection because some cards have monkeys and some cards don't. You know what? Fine. We'll have an entire aisle of greeting cards. Is there anything else before we get out of here? How about a barrel of canes over by the medicine? Ugh, fine. And we definitely need a machine that tells you your blood pressure. People are going to expect that at the store. You have to be kidding. And how exactly do you see that working? Well, it sits in the corner and kids put their arms in it and then cry. And why would people need to know their blood pressure in the middle of grocery shopping? Look, I'm not a doctor, okay? Just put it in. And don't forget cane can. It is funny how I don't even know if they have it anymore. I'm so happy that I live a life where I like don't go inside the grocery store anymore. I cannot tell you how happy it makes me to just get groceries brought to my house. It makes me incredibly happy. It's like so relieving to not go inside the grocery store and have to be confronted by things like a barrel of canes. And they're all like, you know, different weird canes. And it's in that weird sort of cardboard concrete form barrel. You know what I mean? And you're just like, why? Why do we have these? And why do we have so many? And like, to be fair, I don't know where the fuck else you'd go to buy a cane. But I also wouldn't be like, how much business could they be? Like, how often does the barrel come full of canes? I've never seen one that's full. I always see them, they have like 5 canes left in it. But presumably it's like a full barrel at some point, right? Or do you just get like another 5-pack of canes after 15 years when you run out of the 5 canes that you've got already? I mean, it is crazy, right? And also, I object to the fact that it's like, look, if you're going to sell canes, why don't you sell some like cool canes? You know what I mean? One with the mosquito and amber on top. Something like that. I mean, I know it's not as like probably ergonomic and effective as like a shitty looking cane that your grandma had, but come on, man. You could do it. My grandma had like she had her regular cane, which just looked like aluminum and was gray and was boring. And then she had a collapsible cane, that was like infinite fun to play with as a child. And she'd be like, don't play with that. But it was like, it's pretty fun though. Pretty fun to play with this cane. But yeah, it just seems like, I don't know, put some designs on it. Can't you get some like brands involved in this? I'll let you make a Helpful Snowman branded cane. I don't hear any advertisements on podcasts for canes. And I think maybe that's a missing thing, because I feel like podcasters who've been in the game a long time are headed that way. You know what I mean? We're getting up there. And our bodies are falling apart. And as our bodies fall apart, you know what we need? A barrel of canes. The barrel of canes you see at home at the store? Well, now you can have that in your home thanks to Helpful Snowman barrel canes. What would they call the barrel cane company? BC Canes? Barrel cane? Barrel of canes? That doesn't make any sense. Okay, we'll call it BC Canes. And I know it stands for Barrel of Canes. But, we'll theme it like the old comic strip BC that was about cavemen. Because no one will know what that is unless they're of an age where they need a cane. So it's perfect. This is perfect synergy, as they say. All right, everybody. We'll see you next time.
Questions that nobody could. Like where the